You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. A 13th arrest has been made in the case involving a 14-year-old girl that went missing. Anthony Wright pleaded not guilty to rape and endangering the welfare of a child. The 40-year-old from Amityville is still in custody. Now, the teenager from East Patchogue was missing for 25 days. She was found on a boat in Islip. And new details about Rex Heuermann were revealed in court today. Court papers say the Massapequa Park man was, quote, extremely familiar with Ocean Parkway, where almost all of his alleged victims were found. Sherry Einhorn was in court today and will bring us more details in just a moment. And sources say Andrew Cuomo is preparing to run for New York City mayor. The former governor is expected to announce his bid in a few days. A primary for the mayoral race will be in June. And the state has approved of a plan to close a Woodbury nursing home. About 70 employees have been laid off from the Cold Spring Hills Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation. Nearly 300 residents are expected to start moving out this week. The facility is Long Island's second largest nursing home. And Wegmans is officially opening on Long Island tomorrow. And that's right, the Lake Grove location will open its door at 9 a.m. Police are warning of an increase in traffic in the area for Wegmans' grand opening. It will be the largest supermarket on the island. All right, let's take a quick look at Wednesday's weather. And it was an actual nice one today. I went out for a walk because the temps were just right. And tomorrow, looks like we're going to have another warm-ish day with temps in the high 40s and sun overhead. Rex Heuermann was in court this morning over DNA trial evidence. Sherry Einhorn tells us what happened.
Gilgo killings suspect Rex Heuermann worked at Jones Beach in his 20s, prosecutors said in court documents today, making him extremely familiar with the burial site for 6 of his 7 alleged victims. According to the document, part of the defendant's work at the beach entailed the defendant getting on all-terrain vehicle and going from field to field to ensure beachgoers were off the property once the beach was closed, a role that made the defendant extremely familiar with Ocean Parkway at night. The Massapequa Park architect pleaded not guilty to first and second degree murder in the killings of Jessica Taylor, Sandra Castilla, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amberlynn Costello, Melissa Barthelemy, Megan Waterman, and Valerie Mack. Their remains were discovered between 1993 and 2010. The defense wants to separate some of the charges based on the timing of their deaths, varying locations where their bodies were found, and different killing methods.
He has said, I'm not guilty of these charges. And the more I review, the more I inspect what the prosecutor has, it leads me to believe that he's not the guy.
Prosecutors say all 7 homicides should be tried at one time.
The theory of our case is this defendant is a serial killer who meticulously and methodically hunted down and murdered 7 women. That is our case.
Both sides are also still arguing over DNA evidence in the case and the technology used by a California company the prosecution is using. The judge was planning on setting a hearing date for that, but it's been pushed back because Heuermann's attorney says he's still waiting for evidence. The judge told both sides, we're getting to a point where we need to set the hearing. Prosecutors have said they'll be handing over a hard drive with that material by the end of next week. We also learned that the defense has decided not to file for a change of venue, instead choosing to have a jury of Suffolk County residents hear the case. March 12th is when both sides are scheduled to be back in court. In Riverhead, I'm Sherry Einhorn for Newsday TV.
New York's top earners will continue to, quote, pay their fair share, according to Governor Hochul's proposed budget. Newsday's Albany reporter Michael Gormley explains.
There's a temporary surcharge on the top earners in the state. These are people making over $2 million a year. But the surcharge right now is supposed to end in a couple of years, actually. She would extend it for 5 more years. That's worth $5 billion a year to the state in revenue.
Now the budget is due on April 1st. Have a glass? we're brewing beer. Smells good too.
Before you can pull up a stool at the North Fork Brewing Company, you better be willing to put in the work. And to learn how, meet
Pete Barode, owner and founder of North Fork Brewing Company.
the father and former special ed teacher put down the book bags for beer mugs years ago. And now he spends school hours crafting and pumping out more than 5,000 cans of beer per month at his Riverhead Brewery.
I'll be out of here by 2:33 in the afternoon, so it's about 11 hours to 12 hours of a day.
And being a brewer is not as easy as some may think.
What are the biggest misconceptions about brewing?
That you could just drink all day and hang out, and you could fit that in anything, but I think there's so much science behind it that people don't understand.
So as you heard, to get to a glass of beer, it's actually a lot of steps, and Pete is gonna break it down. So Pete, what do we need to do?
So we need to brew the beer. We need to knock the beer down to temperature and pitch the yeast. We need to ferment the beer. We need to then add our flavors of dry hopping and or other fruits. Then we need to drop the temperature down to 35 degrees and carbonate it. Then we got to get it into the proper vessel of cans or pints or kegs. And then finally,
We can drink it. Delicious. It's good beer. Very good beer, actually. Yeah, it's really good beer, actually. Hold on.
Long hours, lots of science, and heavy physical work. But you'll have to do it all to get best in glass quality. And do it well, so no taste goes to waste.
so I think the best part of my job is creating something that I'm able to watch people enjoy.
It's just been such a surreal experience, and I never could have expected it to be this special as it's become.
The number of Long Island flag football programs continues to grow, and at the Jets' second annual Media Day, players from 11 LI teams spoke about their love for the game.
During sideline cheers, as we were cheering for the football players, I've always wanted to go out on the field. I wanted to be there. So once flag football came to our school, I was like, yes, I want to do that after cheer.
I almost just joined it for fun, not expecting it to turn into something so serious and so big that I would be standing here today.
And now have 2 rings in your hand.
Two rings.
Two-time champion Plainview Old Bethpage JFK inspired others like Glen Cove senior Aurora Siri to start her own team.
You started a petition and you got signatures and you started a team. You did this and you got here. Did you ever think that you would be standing in the Jets locker room right now?
No, not at all. No, I didn't know what to expect. I'm really excited for this upcoming season.
Teams had fun snapping photos and videos before hearing from USA national players that started just like them.
In college, I'm trying to work with people to start a club flag football team. I'd love to continue, maybe play for Team USA.
At MetLife Stadium, Carissa Kelman, Newsday TV.
The Rangers are entering the final third of the NHL season, and they're not where anybody expected them to be at this point. They're outside of a playoff spot looking in. This is a team that had the best record in the league last year, but it hasn't been quite as smooth for them this year. At one point, they were actually last in the division, but they've been playing better since the calendar turned to 2025. And General Manager Chris Drury has made some trades that's actually reshaped the roster, the biggest of which has been the acquisition of center J.T. Miller from the Vancouver Canucks at the end of January. Things are starting to look good. He's given them a different look. He's added more grit, some size up the middle. He seems to have invigorated Mika Zibanejad, who had been the team's first-line center, but he's been having a down year, and he seems to have been invigorated by the addition of Miller because he's been playing on Miller's line, or he was before the break. He had a couple of goals and 6 assists in the 5 games that he played once Miller got on the roster. He carried that strong play over into the Four Nations tournament for Sweden, and the hope is, of course, that he can continue to play strong. And the question is now, do they have enough time to make up the ground to get into the playoff field? There are about 9 teams battling for those last 2 playoff spots in the Eastern Conference, the Islanders included. If they can stay healthy, theoretically, you would assume that they have a pretty good chance to leapfrog some of the other teams and get into a position by the time the season's over. But of course, they have to play the games, and we'll see if they can do that. Reporting from Greenburgh, New York, I'm Colin Stevenson for NewsdayTV.
All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecast. And as I said, it was a gorgeous one today, and we have a really nice one on Wednesday as well. Thursday, we do have to deal with the rain, but look at that weekend. It's dry, sun's out, and temps over 50 on Saturday.
Long Island weather is brought to you by PTRC.
You're watching Newsday TV. For more on all the stories you've seen today, head over to Newsday.com. I'm Ken Buffa. Thank you so much for joining us.